Hi, I'm Marty Schupak. Welcome to Schupak Sports, where we discuss sports tips, sports strategies. We try to discuss some sports innovations. We also have sports interviews with people that we think will be of importance to you in sports. Today, we're going to discuss cross sports drills, which to me means you see a drill in another sport and you take that concept and you put it into the sport that you're coaching. And now we're gonna talk about basically coaching baseball or softball, but you could do this in any sport. You could reciprocate it. If you're a basketball coach, you see a good baseball drill. You can use it in basketball. You can use it in hockey and any other sport. But the point I want to make to you is to try to have a open and a creative mind. Okay, we want you to be creative. Part of this concept in this YouTube channel is to open up your creative juices. But before I get carried away, I like to begin every episode with a trivia question. And here we go. This trivia question: who's the first major league manager to win a World Series in both leagues? That would be the American League and the National League. Who was the first Major League Baseball manager to win a World Series in both leagues? All right, anyway, back to cross sports drills. Uh, just to give you an example, I am a big NFL fan. I'm located right outside of New York City, but I spend time going around to different NFL camps in if I could get in there in the end of July, the beginning of August. I like to see up front how different coaches work with their players, and the NFL is actually one venue where it's a little bit easier to get into. I've also done it when in spring training. I got my master's degree at Arizona State, so I used to go to the different minor league facilities there, get in and try to watch the drills. I love new drills. I love creative drills. My philosophy, and it should be your philosophy, is you want to have as little standing around as possible. You want everyone involved almost all the time, up to a point. Okay. But talking about cross sports drills, I'll give you an example. One year my team, for whatever reason, a couple of kids cannot get the concept of leading a fielder with the ball. So, in other words, if a pitcher is covering first base on a ball hit to the right side of the infield, and let's say the first baseman fields it, obviously you want him to lead the pitcher. Usually he throws it to the base. I had a couple of players that could not get that concept down. So I created a drill. And what I did was the sport that I saw that really emphasizes and accents leading a player is football, where a quarterback throws to a receiver. I put a drill in where I had a couple of footballs, and the player would have to toss a football to a player covering second base with a base runner running. It seemed to work. I had the players do it underhand like they do in a game. But the point is, if you have to take a concept or a drill from another sport, definitely do it. Okay. Let's go over a couple of drills now. This drill is what I call the reaction drill, and I'll hold it close for a second so you can see it. And I saw this drill done at a couple of NFL camps where the coach was in the center of a square and he had some footballs at his feet, and the receiver would start here with his back, and either on the whistle and go, he'd turn around and the ball was in the air, he'd catch it, he'd drop it, he'd go to the next corner, the coach would do the same thing, and he'd go to the next corner, which is over here. He'd do this, I'm sorry, here he'd do the same thing, and he'd finish up over here. I did the same thing in baseball, where I'd have a bucket of balls, and all I'm doing is really exercising a player's reaction time. In a drill like this, you have to be careful. I use soft covered baseballs, but also depending upon the player, and you're going to be able in your mind know the talent and the quickness of each player. Depending upon that talent will dictate to you how fast you throw the ball when he goes to the next station. So if it's a player with below average talent, you might wait till he's actually almost turned around and throw the ball. If it's one of your best players who's quick and he's got great talent, when he gets to the next cone station, you could throw it and he'll turn around, the ball will be right in front of him. All right? So remember, a lot of people say you have to treat everybody the same when you're coaching. That's couldn't be further from the truth. You have to coach people to their talent. You want them to reach their potential. All right, so this is the reaction drill. Try it. You could do this in your backyard with your kids. You could do it in the inner city, in a playground. You could do it with tennis balls. It's a very good drill. Okay, we'll go to the next drill. Simple drill. And I happen to see this at a NFL camp. It's called the two fly ball drill. And what I saw was, again, it's similar to the previous reaction drill, where a couple of quarterbacks would lead a player going the width of the field, and he would catch a ball, put it down, get up, run 2 or 3 steps, the ball, he had to turn, the ball would be there, has to catch it, put it down again. But in this particular drill, the two fly ball drill, what I do is I put 2 balls in my glove. I throw 1 fly ball. As the ball's in the air, I take the second ball out of my glove, and I throw that one in the air too. So the player catches the ball, he drops it, and he catches the second ball. I've done this with 3 baseballs. I've done this in my backyard with my kids with 3 baseballs. Use your judgment. Again, use soft-covered baseballs and know your talent, know how fast you're able to throw that second or third ball out of your glove. If the player is a weaker player, you want to give him an extra half a second. So that's the 2 fly ball drill. It's a very good drill, very simple and very effective. And the kids really like it too. And it's a good drill to set up. If you're going to do stations, set this up as a station, okay? And there's nothing wrong on station drills like this. After the first player who goes and he's through, if you have a cone, let's say way over here, after his turn, he has to go run around the cone and come back, go to the end of the line. We want kids to keep moving, all right? That's the 2 fly ball drill. Again, both those drills I saw in NFL summer camps. You could create drills, doesn't have to be football, could be basketball, could be hockey. And again, if you're coaching basketball, you could take drills from hockey, from soccer, from baseball. Try to keep your creative juices flowing. When I first started coaching, I would challenge myself to come up with 1 new drill a week. Our Little League season up here, we're outside of New York City, lasted from the beginning of April to the end of June. So it's about a 3-month period. If I was able to do that, that would be 12 drills, 1 per week. And usually after a tough beginning, I was able to do that. So you could challenge yourself too, all right? That's the 2 fly ball drill. The next thing I want to talk about is rundowns. It drives me crazy with rundowns, okay? And I'll just talk philosophy for just a minute. In the youth arena of baseball or softball, I see a lot of times, and I did this when I first started coaching, that when there was a rundown, the coaches would yell to the players, run him back to the base he came from. This drove me crazy. I made it a point, and we spent time practicing rundowns. My own philosophy is rundowns are the gift from the baseball gods to get a sure out. Try to get that sure out. Don't let the runner go back to the base he came from. But you have to practice this. And I tell my players, the perfect number of throws in a rundown is none. The second perfect number of throws is one. All right. Usually I find out when you throw more than two, it's tough to get the runner out. I use the term sprint mode, and I demonstrate to the player when they're in the base runner is in a sprint mode, it's very difficult for him to stop and change directions. The fielders have the advantage, okay, but you have to teach them right. You have to read up on it, look up some books, talk to other coaches. Don't let a sure out go by the wayside. If your team is able to get in a rundown and play in a rundown, get the out. Ideally, no throws. Second in line, ideally, is one throw. One drill I have is the rundown drill. I use the baseline between first and second and home and third, okay, where I have the base runner, there. The fielders start with one ball. The goal is the base runner has to get to the base safe. If he does, he gets a point. If he gets out, the fielders get 2 points. I have the base runner wear a helmet. I use soft covered balls. What we're doing here, and it's not 100% realistic, because without the other players getting involved in a rundown, it's really not a game-like situation. But what we're doing here is we're exposing the players to what the rundown is and getting them used to throwing it to another defensive player. It's a very, very good drill. You're using 6 players at a time. You can set it up into a competition, all right? You use 2 base paths that are opposite so the players have no way of getting injured, all right? This will be the last drill that we go over. And this is the drill I call the rundown between third base and home. The reason being, when I first started coaching, I was suckered into a situation where I had a smarter coach on the other side of the field. He would purposely get his team involved in rundowns. He took a chance knowing that most teams don't practice it. And again, I think he was a 9 and 10-year-olds. So he killed us taking extra bases. And what happened was my catcher got caught and the base runner would go right past him. I had my team, and you could do this. Make sure you have your first baseman run down to cover home. If there's a rundown between third base and home plate, you can tell your players what to do, but you're much better off as a coach, and your players are much better off as players if you practice the situation. All right? So those are the drills for the day. We'll get to the trivia question in just a second. I just want to point out, I like to throw in a parental tip. And I just want you to consider, if you do have an elite baseball or softball player, as tempting as it's going to be to put them in multiple leagues and have them play year round, I urge you, please have them play a second sport. You've heard, if you're involved in youth sports, you've heard this over and over again about specification. You don't want to have your son or daughter play one sport year round intensely. It's not good for their growth platelets, and you want to give them a break from that sport. just let you know that if you look at professional athletes, most of the great professional athletes didn't just play one sport. They played multiple sports as they were growing up. So that's my parental tip of the day. Please consider not having your son or daughter play baseball or softball all year round. Have them take a break. Even if your son or daughter plays basketball all year round or soccer, have them do a second sport, okay? All right, the question was, what major league manager was the first one, and I think right now he's the only one, to win a World Series in both leagues? The answer is Sparky Anderson. In 1984, he won the World Series with the Detroit Tigers. Before that, in 1975 and 76, he won the World Series with the Cincinnati Reds, who was the Big Red Machine. So that's the answer, Sparky Anderson. Until next time, and please subscribe, and we'll let you know when the next Schupak Sports episode is available. And, as far as products, I always shy away from soliciting you to purchase my product, telling you if you don't have the money, go to the library and ask them to get the book. But if there's one book I urge you to get, and the book happens to have like 19 grammatical errors, and I apologize for that. Baseball Coaching, a guide for the youth coach and parent. It has over 300 pictures. If you just began coaching, I promise you, you will use this as a resource. I have 60 sample practices. One of the things I want to mention with this book, if you do get it, try to get the ebook also. The reason being, on the sample practices, I try to set up this book how I would like it if I bought it from a different author. And the way I set it up, on the sample practices, every drill is a live link to the description in the book. That's on the ebook. Some coaches and parents buy both a hard copy and an ebook copy. That's up to you. Again, I usually tell you to get it from the library, but if you're a young coach just starting out, I highly recommend, if you purchase this, you'll use it every year for 5 or 6 years. If you divide up the purchase price, it comes to less than a cup of coffee from Starbucks. So, hey, listen, that's it for Schupak Sports for today. Please subscribe, and until next time, I'm Marty Schupak.